minutes. We are live going one-on-one with Siobhan Dillon. Today, she's live in Los Angeles. How are you? It's so nice to see you. I've heard so many wonderful things from your people. I'm hoping that they're all true. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. That's a nice intro.
Yeah,
They were all lying.
Yeah, it's a test, really. It's one of those things where it's like, all right, I get it, you're an actor, but this is a little more raw. Let's see. We're gonna really test your personality here.
You can do that.
That's what this is. That's what you're spending your quarantine Thursday doing. Some dope on a podcast is going to interrogate you and kind of see what's happening.
That's okay. Go for it.
Okay, let's rock it out. No, you've got a new album coming out. Obviously, people have probably seen you on Netflix. You did a spot on Grace and Frankie, which I don't know what's wrong with me. My brain's a little mushy. I keep wanting to say like Frankie and Grace, and then I keep messing things up. So I'm going to need you to be super patient with me. So we're going to make things work today. Real quick, actor, singer, born in the UK, currently residing in Los Angeles. How long have you been in Los Angeles? And the same question that every person always asks, I'm sure, how has the transition been? And are you enjoying the LA weather?
The LA weather is like nothing else. I mean, this place is an incredible place to live, obviously. I moved here in 2017 after a short stint in New York. The show I was in, Sunset Boulevard, it transferred from London to Broadway in 2017. So that meant that I was able to, get the papers and the green card and the whole thing. So I've been here since then. The transition, personally, wonderful. I mean, I met my husband here. It was wonderful.
That's amazing.
A bit lonely to start with, yeah. But then I met him, and then everything was like roses.
I'm sure. Is he from here?
He's from Canada. He's Canadian. He's from Toronto.
Very nice. And I'll let you finish your story. But is he part of the entertainment business, or how did you all meet?
He's an actor, writer, producer as well. But we both share a manager. So there was one evening when I had a last minute audition my manager sent me, and I was like, this is great, Marnie, this is wonderful. I have a small problem in that I live alone. I have nobody to run this with. She was like, oh, let me just see. I think I have another client that lives like not too far away from you. Why don't you just get together? And I was like, sure. And that was it, really. We met, and I was like, oh, hello.
Yep.
And I said to Marnie, I was like, did you do that deliberately? She was like, absolutely not. She said, I would never have thought about you guys being a thing. And yet we've been completely inseparable ever since.
So now the manager, you have to listen to everything your manager says. He's like, it's not going to steer you wrong. That it changed your life, right?
Go. Yeah, she did. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
that's fantastic to hear, and it's almost the way you sing. You could be part of any kind of a fairy tale story, but that definitely seems like it's kind of a fairy tale thing. I am curious, have you yet, or would you be open to working with your husband on a project together?
Oh yeah, that would be ace. Actually, we've written a pilot together, and that tested our relationship a little. It was very interesting. But he's brilliant. He's a wonderful writer. But I would love to act with him. Yeah. No, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, who knows?
Hey, more about you. Let's get back to this. You have an album coming out, and there's a very special tie-in to the album. I can sit here. I can do the lead up, the one voice everybody's pumped for. Give me some background on why this is important. There's a personal side to this, and then you're also setting out to help some folks as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a big story, and no violins necessary. But in 2015, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, which kind of like winded me in many ways, all the ways actually, if I'm honest. But there was never a moment where I thought that it was anything other than a really good opportunity to just be a better person, which is a really kind of weird thing. I had a premonition when I was really young that I was going to die when I was 30 and that I was never going to have any children. And then when I got cancer at 30, I was like, oh, this is the part where I die. So the fact that I'm still here 5 years later is pretty cool. But I did.
I'm the exact same age as you, and I remember turning 30 and just being like, that's a weird enough thing on its own. Which maybe we're privileged to think that's a weird seminal time, but like the reality is, like turning 30, you're like, oh man, I'm not a cajillionaire like I wrote down that I would be in middle school when I'm 30.
Yeah.
So that on its own is, call it seminal, call it strange times, can be, and then you add in a life-changing, potentially life-threatening ending piece like that. I can only imagine, and I'm very much connected with that personally. Like that's got to be very tough.
Yeah, it was. I say that it was. I feel like it got really tough about a year afterwards. Like in that moment, I sort of went into productive overdrive. Like, how do I fight this? How do I not die? Because the first doctor that I spoke to said that, he actually used the words, and if she makes it, she'll need 10 years of hormone treatment. And I was like, if I make it, and my parents were sitting in the room. So I think for them, they probably still have PTSD about it. For me, it really was just, it was a blessing. I can say that looking back. Obviously, it's much easier in hindsight. And at the time, there was so much emotion. But still, for the very core of me, I knew that it was something good. And so much good has come from it. But I'd known Steve Anderson, the producer of One Voice, for years prior, because I'd been on stage for years prior to that. And he had always joked around with me saying, we should get an album together, you and I, we should get some music out there. And I was like, yeah, sure, one day.
Now he carries some weight for those people that don't know. Who has he worked with in the past?
Only Kylie Minogue. He's Kylie Minogue's producer, and also Leona Lewis, Louise Redknapp. There's a couple of big, brilliant singers.
Just play it by the numbers. He's got X amount of records tied to his work that have been sold, right? That's incredible.
He's a legend in the music industry, and he's also one of the kindest, most genuine, and humble men I've ever met in my life. And I'm so privileged to call him a friend. And then add a producer on top of that. It's just like, how did I win all of these things? This is awesome. But he's phenomenal. And I probably wouldn't have had any music out ever if it weren't for him. But we'll come to that part later. But basically he said to me, in 2015, he was like, okay, so now's the time to get that music out there then. And I was like, you know what, I think you're right. Because I felt so emotional, and I started looking at music in a completely different way, listening to music in a different way, thinking about performances in a different way. And suddenly the music that I was listening to, I was thinking about just the story and like the depth of it and the truth behind it and the emotional, like the drive, like why the writer wrote the lyric like that and why the music feels like that. And I was dissecting all of these songs that I'd always loved but didn't really know why. Or maybe did, but on a subconscious level, but I wasn't really aware of it.
Right.
And so he just said, great, okay, just write like the Desert Island disc, like tell me all the songs that you couldn't live without. That was the first list. And then we kind of went back and forth with like, and now the songs that you've always wanted to sing. And then now the songs that just resonate with you. Maybe like a guy recorded it in like the 70s, but maybe it's just
he's literally laying out a process for you to tap into what you need to. That's amazing.
Yeah, because he knew me and he knew that I wasn't very good at just, shouting from the rooftops what I want. I've always been a little bit backwards about coming forwards. And I think when it came to the recording of music, I had a record deal when I was 22 and it was an awful experience. And it really, I had this record deal and someone at the record label actually said, it's not winning the lottery, it's buying a lottery ticket, you know that. And I was like, no, it's not. And then sure enough, that's exactly what happened. It was entirely, I felt like I was railroaded. So I told Steve all about that and he was like, well, this is not how it's going to be. You're going to be telling stories through song and this is all about you. Like if it doesn't seem right, doesn't feel right, doesn't sound right to you, then it's a no-go. Like this is your album. And like, as I say, he's just such a humble, talented guy. He was like the best possible person, personality-wise as well, because we were able to just talk very honestly about things. And I don't know, he just got the best out of me just by being such a wonderful person and being so supportive. So that's kind of how it all started. And then She Used to Be Mine, which is the title song from Waitress, I heard in 2016. And I couldn't get through the first chorus of it without crying. Like I would just get this lump in my throat because the lyric was so poignant to me. And I remember emailing Steve just saying like, this is the track, but this is the one that this is what all of the rest of them should be like. Now I understand what you mean when you say, let's pick a load of songs that you feel like you could have written, you know, if I was any good at writing songs. So yeah, that's what we did. We recorded that one to start with, and then closely followed by Everyone's Waiting by Missy Higgins, which is actually not a musical theatre song. It's more of a pop song, I guess. But we tried to strip it back so that it was just storytelling to music. And so yeah, every song on the album has a story, for sure. I mean, it really stirs up all kinds of emotions every time I hear the songs. So,
I can only imagine too, and I mean, for it to be tied to a charity, and
Right.
for you to be, gosh, you know, say it takes off or even does moderately well. You have this piece of art that you created that you're super happy with and proud of, but then B, you get to help people too,
Yeah.
like that are going through something that you fought through. So I can only imagine kind of the gravity that holds. And it's, again, just like turning 30 is a big deal to everybody, an album's a huge deal. And then
Yeah.
to tie that in is bravo. That's great that you're doing that.
Thanks. Yeah, I was fearful about releasing any music because I just hate the idea of people not liking it. You know, I mean, it's vulnerable. You have to put yourself out there. And the interesting thing about the way we decided to produce this album is that my vocals are so front and center and they're so sort of naked that there is nowhere to hide. So if you don't like it, then I'm sorry. You know, it was the most honest thing that I could possibly have done. Yeah, listen to someone else and go, fine. But I'm sorry. Go on.
No, please go ahead.
I was just going to say the charity thing is because there was an episode where I hadn't even started the radiotherapy yet. I just started the hormone treatment, and it basically in a nutshell, it switches off the ovaries because the type of cancer that I had was 100% estrogen receptor positive. Mm-hmm. So it basically stopped the cancer from being able to feed on any estrogen by just stopping it in my body. So I effectively went through the menopause, and there was, like, you know, the panic attacks, the palpitations and the hot sweats and all of the things that you just don't want to think about. And there was one morning that I woke up and I was living on my own. I didn't really know what to do, what was going on. And it really something just took me. I grabbed my keys and my phone, left the flat in my pajamas, and walked to the London Sanctuary for Haven. This is the charity that I'm donating all the proceeds of the album to. And I just walked straight into that building. Like I'd walked past it. I knew it was there. But before that point, I hadn't really needed it, or I hadn't thought that I needed it because I was too busy being brave. And I walked in the front door and I just stood there, and the lady on reception looked at me and she said, "How can I help you?" And I just started crying. And then I explained, you know, I'm on this tamoxifen, this hormone treatment, and I'm not dealing well with it. And she just sat me down. She got me a cup of tea on this beautiful big couch. She gave me a hug. She said, "Right, let's write a treatment plan out for you." I mean, it's just purely holistic, you know, like there's like a therapist and like an aromatherapist. I think they had acupuncturists and all these different kind of people. And ultimately, it was just a community of women and some men who just wanted to be there for each other. You could go in whenever you wanted. It didn't cost you a penny. And I just remember on that day thinking, this is literally like heaven in my world right now, where I'm getting palpitations and panic attacks and all the things. Finally, I was able to find a haven, and, you know, Breast Cancer Haven was my sanctuary. And so at that moment, I was like, how can I help? And I think I actually said to a lady, I think the second or third time I went in there, I was like, what can I do to help you guys? And she just laughed at me and she said, just slow down. You need to heal up. Like, you need to rest and recuperate. And then sure, you know, later down the line, come back.
Go be a healthy example of our work.
Yeah. She was like, later down the line, you know, we can think of something. We do lots of events, and, you know, you're a singer, so maybe you could help us raise some money, you know, that way. And I was like, that's awesome. Maybe I can. And then this all happened, and I thought, perfect. Now I have this album that I was terrified of releasing. It's released into the world, and I hope it does well because I want to help the Haven charity. So that's how it sort of all came full circle.
Do you have plans to tour once things open up? Have you had the opportunity to? I say the opportunity. Sometimes they're probably fun. Sometimes they're. Have you done any live streaming songs? I was sent a video of you singing in a situation kind of like this You sounded great.
Oh,
So
thank you.
not everyone does. Like people could get exposed with not a super nice studio setup, kind of protecting them almost.
Mm.
Do you want to tour off the album? Is that even part of the plan? And then I guess have you dabbled in any virtual concerts, singing, anything else?
Well, I would love to tour with this. I didn't think that would be something that I'd want to do before quarantine, which is funny enough because
Now it's like
I,
get me anywhere.
well, not even because like side note, I've actually trained as a meditation teacher because
Interesting.
I'm such a huge believer in self-healing and sound therapy, and I use crystal singing bowls, and obviously I hum, or we say toning it's called,
Mm-hmm.
and singing with the bowls. And it's really interesting, like from a meditation perspective, like the self-care, sorry, that I've been focusing on has really helped me, and it's starting to really help people that I'm teaching as well.
Oh, that's
So I've been
great.
getting really excited about that. And this quarantine time was a wonderful time to reflect on all the teaching that I've done and that I've received, and all the books that I've been reading in the middle of and put down. And now I've been able to finish them and carry on learning. So I honestly thought before quarantine that I was going to sort of move away from music and into meditation and sound therapy. But since quarantine, it's so interesting. My whole life, I feel like I've tried to do fashion design, been kicked back into singing, tried to do interior design, been kicked back into singing. It's like the universe just keeps kicking me back to doing this singing stuff. I mean, the global pandemic was a bit extreme, but ultimately what's happened is that I've been kicked back into singing again. But this time I found a whole new love and appreciation for it. So that's where it's a little bit different. So the quarantining really just made me realize that I love telling stories through song. And I'd sort of just gone, oh, well, everyone does that. But now it's not about who's doing it, who's not doing it. It's about how passionate I am about it. And because of being able to help the Haven charity, and because of the feedback that I'm getting from people saying that they were able to, it was a cathartic experience to listen to the album, and it reminded them of the people that they've lost, or, the relationships they're going through, or whatever it is. It's made me go, oh, that in itself is a form of therapy in many ways. So I am starting to think now about, yeah, when things start opening up again, maybe I should do some touring of some description. But
You know, if anything, you're in the entertainment capital of the world. If anything, go play some spots around Los Angeles, so you don't have to travel. Be on a plane, wear yourself out.
yeah, yeah,
That could be something in itself. And I'll tell you what, as somebody who owns a studio and does streaming, obviously,
yeah,
I'm talking to quite a few musical artists right now, friends and guests and stuff.
hmm
There's not going to be huge concerts for a while, so I don't know. Go set up something intimate and live stream it. There you go.
yeah.
Record sales could help that way too. I think that's
Okay.
definitely a viable option for somebody like you. So, what about on
Yeah.
the acting front before we get you out of here? Do you want to push forward? I mean, does that become a stressful thing with your husband going out for gigs? Does that mean, if you pick up something, you're going to have to travel? People film in Vancouver, Atlanta, New
Yeah.
York, everywhere else. So, do you want to continue pursuing acting, or is it full steam ahead on the album and singing for now?
I mean, I'm just open to all of it.
Yeah.
I feel like I thought that I knew what I wanted, and then something like this happens, and you go, oh, I didn't. Oh, sure. I mean, I'm having a great time. Like I just
Yeah.
last night recorded the second this situation one take recording of the second song, Everyone's Waiting, and I really loved it. So I'm thinking, I'm open to everything. I would go and do another show. I would totally be up for streaming. I think you make a very good point. But also, yeah, sure. Like when studios open up, and if someone wanted to, offer me a job in a TV show, I mean, I've auditioned enough. I feel like I would probably just continue to audition. But
Sure.
I guess things that are meant to find you just find you. The universe has a way of conspiring for us. I think when it's something that is intended for us, it won't pass us by. I really live by that too. So again, just sort of, I don't know, relaxing into what will be in many ways, whilst also focusing my attention on the meditation and healing, as well as the music now, of course.
Seems like you're
To
in a
answer
great
your
place.
question.
No, it certainly does. Where can
Yeah.
people follow you? Do people need to go to Instagram? Where's your best social media follows?
I think for the most part, Siobhan Dillon Official is the best place to start. Instagram is Siobhan Dillon Official. My website is www.siobhandillonofficial.com. And what else? I think Spotify is Siobhan Dillon. You can stream the album on Spotify. You can buy it on Amazon
Let's
and
buy it.
Apple Music.
Let's people buy it. You do that. You help out a charity. You help out. Listen,
Yeah.
Spotify is great for exposure. Siobhan's not paying bills on Spotify. Maybe you will. I'm not trying to disparage it, but I just
No,
I have
you're right.
I laugh because I work with so many comics and their friends. They're friends with Joe Rogan, and he signed a deal earlier this week for $100 million with Spotify to be exclusively on there. And I laughed, and I would joke around about this with anybody, but I'm like, yeah, when you underpay artists criminally for 10 years, you can afford Joe Rogan in 2020. But that's
I don't want to say too much, but
no,
yeah.
you support it completely. But people can buy it on Amazon. And Siobhan, make sure to come back sometime. I'm sorry we have to cut it a little bit short. I'd love to chat with you more. You have such an interesting story and so talented. Geez, keep up the hard work. And it sounds like you're in such a great place.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for asking me.
Absolutely. Thanks, Siobhan. We'll see you soon.
Bye.